Welcome to this gathering hosted by the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bowling Green. Whether you're here in person or online, we are so glad you're joining us today. My name is Christina Kruger, and I'll be your service associate on this wonderfully warm and sunny February day. Just a reminder to please set your cell phones to silent. We are a welcoming congregation. Whoever you are, however you identify, wherever you come from, and whoever you love, you are welcome here. Our Sunday services are different each week so that we can honor and learn from our wide array of traditions and beliefs. Today, our speaker is Dr. Laura McGee. Though we each walk our own path here in this place on the land of the Osage, the Cherokee, and the Shawnee, and now at this time, we journey together as one community. For Unitarian Universalists, the flaming chalice is a symbol of the light of learning and the love of our community. This morning, our chalice will be lit by Eileen Arnold, followed by a reading.
Come, let us worship together. Let us open our minds to the challenge of reason, open our hearts to the healing of love, open our lives to the calling of conscience, open our souls to the comfort of joy. Astonished by the miracle of life, grateful for the gift of fellowship, confident in the power of living faith, we are here gathered. Come, let us worship together.
So if you want to, if you're willing to hum along, our first hymn is going to be number 16, "'Tis the Gift to be Simple." Thank you, Forrest. As the children go to their own religious exploration, please remain seated as we hum along their way with Go Now in Peace. We will now have a few moments for meditation, reflection, and prayer. The singing bowl will lead us into silence. After the silence, you're invited to join in the song Spirit of Life. The words will be on the screen, or you can hum along. As mentioned earlier, Unitarian Universalists have a wide array of beliefs, and the speakers at our Sunday services come from many traditions. Here to share their own thoughts today is Dr. Laura Green McGee, who is a professor emeritus of German at Western Kentucky University. A native of Nashville, Tennessee, she earned degrees in German at Davidson College, Ohio State University, and the University of Washington in Seattle. In 1997, she moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky to take a position as a visiting assistant professor of German. She has dedicated her academic career to creating quality language programs at WKU. During her 11 years as head of modern languages, she expanded language offerings to include Arabic, Chinese, and Russian, as well as beginning Korean and Swahili. The department experienced tremendous growth under her leadership. However, beginning in late 2017, language programs at WKU were scaled back radically. This past summer, Laura took early retirement from the university so she could pursue an active and rich second half of life. She is committed to personal growth and learning. She helps care for her father, who is in a nursing home in North Carolina, and she paints on silk in her studios in the Pushin building. Last month, she earned her open water scuba diving certification in Cozumel, Mexico. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you, Christina. It is so nice to be with you here today. I want to begin by thanking the Sunday Services Committee for their tireless work in providing food for thought and spiritual nurture each week. Diane Lewis and Michelle Steiner co-chair. Matt Hazel provides awesome tech services with Corbin Weaver as backup. Forrest Halford creates beautiful music for us. Thank you also to his backups, Greg Willis and Florian Schulte. Janine Grossmeyer wears multiple essential hats. Lisa Dalporto and John Foreman serve as online hosts, and we appreciate our service associates, Tim McGee, others, also Christina Kruger, our board president, whom you see up here each Sunday. Through their dedication and their labor, they serve our congregation and the wider community, as we offer a welcoming environment each Sunday in which to explore the spiritual traditions of the world and the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism. What a gift to all of us. Thank you. As I talk today, I will address the following questions. First of all, why am I a UU? Which of the 7 principles speak to me most? How do I live these out? What am I creating in my one wild and precious life? You may recognize in my title a reference to the poem by Mary Oliver. Matt Foraker will read that to us a little bit later in this service. Unitarian Universalists share a set of common ideas called the 7 principles. In my interpretation, these principles express very general and yet fundamental intentions that allow us the freedom to choose how we live them out. In other words, the what of the principles is clear. The how of implementing them invites us to think, to learn, and to act. This makes us unlike many other churches whose beliefs are expressed in precise doctrine. I grew up in the Presbyterian Church, where each Sunday I recited in chorus things like the Lord's Prayer, the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed. Those made very specific statements about the Father and the Son, the Holy Ghost, sin and forgiveness, heaven and hell, etc. I found myself searching for guidance on how to live out these beliefs in my daily life. In other words, how do I relate to others? What am I here to do? I find excellent guidance in the 7 principles. So let's take a look at them. I will read them slowly, and I ask you to consider Which one or ones speak to you most in this moment? Don't think too hard, just choose. The first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The second principle, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. The third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. The fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The fifth principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The sixth principle, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. The seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Like many of you, I came to UU-ism from another denomination. In fact, in the course of my first 50 years of life, I was a member of the following denominations: Presbyterian, Disciples of Christ, Episcopal, and then Lutheran. Each one of these served me and was the right community for me for a period of my life. Why then did I choose to move on and join this church? My local Lutheran congregation, led by Pastor Heather McCullough, had folded, and I was without a church community. Unitarian Universalism came to my attention when my sister started down her path to ordination as a UU minister. As she committed to her studies at Star King School for the Ministry in California, and as she pursued the rigorous, multi-year process that leads to ordination, I wanted to better understand the tradition that meant so much to her. And what I discovered was a denomination that embraces the inherent worth and dignity of every person. It encourages the individual's search for truth and meaning. It fosters a sense of responsibility for justice and the democratic process, and it values the belief in the interconnected web of life. How does UU-ism speak to me? How does it support the person I want to be and the way I want to live my one wild and precious life on this planet? I feel accepted for who I am. There is no expectation that I fit into someone else's idea of how a woman should live. I am encouraged to use my brain to help me determine how to act. I continue to learn and to grow. I have certain responsibilities to help create the kind of society in which we all live. I am supported in being educated, informed, and accessing reliable sources of information. I am encouraged to live in a way that respects people, animals, plants, and the environment. Why am I a member of this congregation? I find this congregation, this group of people we see here in this room, and those of you who are present with us online, to be a community that supports all these beliefs and puts them into action. We welcome everyone who enters our doors. We do not look at them and say, you must do A, B, and C before we accept you. We do not say, you must do X, Y, and Z before God accepts you. We are accepting and welcoming. We are open-minded and we pursue learning. We actively bring ideas and knowledge into our community, all of these chosen and presented to help us live better lives. We care about social justice and the democratic process, and we care about our environment. We inform ourselves, we contribute, and we act accordingly. As a group, we offer these gifts to one another, and we offer them freely and fully to anyone who enters our doors. All of this occurs within the framework of the 7 principles that guide us. These are things I know. There are also things that I do not know. I do not know whether there is a life after this one. I do not need to believe that I live for the ideal of going to heaven. What I do believe is that we can create heaven on earth if we live accordingly as individuals and in community. And yet we as human beings are such complex creatures. If we are not mindful, we can make a really big mess of things in all kinds of ways. We might fail to live up to our potential. We might unknowingly sabotage relationships. We might destroy the environment, and so on and so on. And so let me drill now into one of the 7 principles that guides me in living my one wild and precious life most fully. And that is the 4th principle, having to do with the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. In the last 25 years, I've taken evenings and days and weekends and entire weeks to engage in personal growth experiences, such as Soul Collage. It was a course offered here in this congregation. Reiki 1 and 2. Building Your Own Theology, a course we offered and I helped teach subsequently. Group study of Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Teachings on Love, here in this church. I went to meditation retreats at Magnolia Grove Monastery in Batesville, Mississippi, 3 times. It's one of the monasteries in Thich Nhat Hanh's network of monasteries. I also took part in landmark education courses, first the Forum, then the Communication course, the Wisdom course, and others. I learned about that from my friend Matt Foraker, who's done some of that too. I also took part in a Woman Within weekend, which is very, very powerful work for women. I wanted to answer important questions in my life. I wanted to understand myself and those around me better, so that I could live a freer, more productive, and happier life. Now I want to share with you a few concrete examples. Perhaps you find something valuable here for yourself. And I'm going to present these examples in sort of a straightforward way, but I just want you to know this is like years of work doing some of this. And so this is some of the value that I offer you today in giving you these examples. Maybe you see something there that you take home and think about through the week. Landmark education, the first course called the Forum, helped me make some really important distinctions. For example, what happened? And what did you make it mean? This is really valuable if you're a department head. People walk in your office and tell you what happened and what they're making it mean, right? But we also do it in our own lives. So very often we conflate these two. We experience something, we react, and we think our reaction is the reality of what happened. We think those things are identical. We are meaning-making machines. Often we have created meaning in the past, way back in the past, and we carry it forward into the future. We perpetually carry that meaning forward, unmindfully, making our past into our future when it does not have to be that way. So I want to give you a concrete example from my life to help you know what I'm talking about. So the question is, what happened? And what happened, you could say, is I failed to perform in math. This happened to me in about first grade. It happened to me again in ninth grade. I would let me know pretty clearly, this is not good enough. Your comprehension, your performance is not good enough. So then the question is, what did I make it mean? Okay? What did I make it mean? And here's some of the things that I made it mean. There's something wrong with me. I'm not as smart as everyone else. I have to work harder than others to compensate for not being as smart. If I am failing, I have not worked hard enough yet. I have to fulfill expectations, in other words, to perform in order to be loved. Imagine carrying these messages through your life, year after year, decade after decade, in all aspects of your life, because this message, it just begins to apply to everything. It's your learning. You think it's who you are. So, what could I decide instead to make it mean? Number one, actually, I am really smart. In math, however, I was set up for failure. Had to do with the circumstances, truly. Number two, I have many awesome talents. Math just isn't one of them. There you go. My time is better spent bringing my unique gifts into the world. Sometimes giving up is the right thing to do. Just to say, I'm going to stop putting energy there and put it somewhere else. And number five, I can love and be loved just because. It has nothing to do with performance, being good enough, who you are. So, here's another one. From Landmark Education, the wisdom course, I learned, if you create from something, you are fixing something. You can create from nothing. If you can see what is, you can let go of it. It takes work to see what is. But you can do it. From Soul Collage, the short course taught here at this church many years ago, and from Landmark Education, I was able to learn the following and to really see and bring into my life the following. I have a bright light. I don't want to put it under a bushel. The gift I bring into the world is unique. I am its steward. I am. Nobody else is. It is my task to realize it in this lifetime for my benefit and for yours. Which brings me to this one wild and precious life. I was a passionate professor of German. I loved doing the right thing for my students. I was continually growing as a teacher so I could bring my personal best into the classroom. My career as a teacher, as a mentor to students and to colleagues, and as a researcher brought me massive fulfillment. I was able to make a living and able to save a little extra for an early retirement so that I could shift my gears into life part 2. I was initially asked to speak today about my art, so let me be sure to do that. The thing is, my art began to speak to me as I contemplated leaving academia. I had worked very hard to build language programming at WKU. At a certain point, it became clear that I had worked hard enough. I had given my most and my best. Giving or doing more was going to make little difference. It was time to leap into the unknown. I have always created art. At home, on the side, on the weekends, in short courses and vacation courses. It is a red thread throughout my life. It, that is, my art, said to me, "You have worked hard enough. It's okay to jump. Things will be brighter on the other side." You see aqua-colored cliffs? No matter. You create that reality. My art said to me, "Take that road. See where it goes." What? People wonder why it's purple? No matter. It's your road. My art said to me, "Open that door. Follow the stars. They tell you there is wonderment on the other side." My art said, "Trust. You will not know until you go. You are strong. This is your gift." It said, "The forest may seem dark, but the light is with you. It is your light, your responsibility to carry it into the world, your gift to share." It said, "It is time to go out and play, not to perform, not to please. It is time to allow yourself to play." And so I begin my journey into the second half of life. Father Richard Rohr puts it this way in his 2011 book called Falling Upward. And I want to summarize for you a little bit from the prologue of that book. The journey into the second half of life is a well-kept secret. Many remain stymied in the first half of life, establishing identity, seeking security, and creating connections and networks. The first half of life is a warm-up act, but not the full journey. If you realize there is a further journey, you might do the warm-up act differently. We are summoned to it, not commanded to go. We don't have to do it. The crossover points are a kind of necessary suffering. I believe our unique blueprint is installed, and if we don't realize it, it will never come to be. We do not make or create our souls. We just grow them up. Much of the work of spirituality is learning to stay out of the way. Yes, transformation is more about unlearning than learning. All God wants from us, Rohr says, is to return the product that we have been given. Life is indeed momentous, created by accumulated moments in which the deeper I is revealed. Each thing and every person must act out its nature fully. The first half of life is discovering the script. The second half is actually writing it. And so my journey of creativity, growth, family, and adventure continues. This is a picture of me on this side in the Push-In Building studio here in downtown Bowling Green, community studio where about 8 artists share space. The slide on your left shows velvet and rayon silk scarves that are tie-dyed or shibori-dyed, which is a folding technique. And on the right-hand side are pillows that are sewn from fabric from my travels, fabric I dyed, using all different techniques. On the left, that one's sold. That one's sold here in the community. But it's a silk crepe de chine, very heavyweight silk. It's 14 inches wide and 72 inches long, so quite a big piece, the whole thing. And the one on the right is about that big as well, and it is inspired by my love of the Southwest, New Mexico, and the landscape there. And that's a photo from my first solo show here in Bowling Green that happened soon after retirement. So I hope to keep sharing my art with you all and with others in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for sharing your journey with us. As part of our responsible search for truth and meaning, we encourage a thoughtful discourse. After the service, you are invited to join us on discussion via Zoom or in the church here at church in the meditation garden between the buildings. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us. We are a community of memory and the keeper and of hope, and we are called to be the keeper of the dream. Our dream includes a world where all children are cared for, and so this Sunday we are donating to the Glean Children's Home. The Glean Children's Home is located in the rolling hills of Liberty, Kentucky. It was founded by Jerry and Sandy Tucker in 1969 with the simple purpose of helping those that need help and loving those that need love. The Glean Home cares for children of all ages that have been abused, neglected, or rejected and are in need of medical treatment. They take no government funding and rely on donations from the public. Their motto is room for one more, and according to Jackie Padilla, they said they have a marvelous bakery as well. We thank you for these gifts. May we use them wisely in service of our congregation and our community. We do want to take a moment to thank our behind-the-scenes volunteers to make this service possible today. Today's service coordinator was Michelle Steiner. Matt Hazel was our technical support, and our Zoom host is Janine Grossmeyer. Thank you for sharing your time and talent with this community. Our community does have some announcements and news. The big one is for us to continue to sign Eleanor's yearbook. Her last day is Wednesday, so it is available out in the lobby. And also, memorial tiles are still available if you are interested in giving to one of those to be placed out in the meditation garden between the buildings. If you have questions about Unitarian Universalism and about joining this congregation, you can speak to one of our membership team, which I think Aileen and Sharon and Nancy are here, or you can speak to our board president, which is myself, Christina Kruger. You can also email me at president@uubgky.org. As always, you can find more community news by reading the monthly newsletter and the weekly email updates. Here at church, you can look at the bulletin boards and pick up a hard copy of the newsletter. And of course, our website and Facebook page are always available online. All right, and our last hymn, it will be Everything is Holy Now. Oh, even better. There we go.
When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Child's face, say it's not a testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
This morning, Matt Foraker will be giving our final reading.
Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your wild and precious life?
Thank you, Matt. We will now bid farewell to those who have joined us online. We hope you found this service meaningful, and we invite you to join us again. Be well and go in peace.